Hi everybody, today as part of the Wellness After 40 Summit's Wellness Studio, I have the pleasure of speaking with Rachel Richards, who will be talking to us about the importance of massage for self-care and also be providing us with some tips and techniques for self-massage at home. So Rachel is a New York State licensed and board certified massage therapist who specializes in chronic pain therapy, postural alignment, and also mobility. She also offers musculoskeletal and fascial bodywork and orthopedic manual therapy. So Rachel, how are you going today?
I'm very well, thanks. Thank you for having me on here. This is nice. It's good to talk about.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being available to share your wisdom on the Wellness After 40 Summit. So getting started, maybe we can talk a little bit about why people should look to include massage as part of the lifestyle habits they include for maintaining or helping them optimize their health and well-being.
Sure. So a lot of people think massage is a luxury or something to do maybe once in a while or on a special occasion, but it really is so incredibly valuable for not only getting over chronic aches and pains and lowering anxiety, but also, like you said, as a preventative. If you could do something for yourself on a regular basis that prevents what's going to run up some doctor bills in the future or anything like that and cause you pain, and you know, that's the way to go. And it's especially over 40 and 50 is when we really need to start paying attention to our bodies and taking care of ourselves. We injure more easily. We don't recover quite as quickly. And sometimes if you don't take care of yourself, that can go on and on and on and be a chronic problem that's just always kind of in the way or interfering with your day-to-day life. Maybe you love running, but that darn knee is not letting you, right? So those are the kinds of things that massage can help with. It's also just a nurturing touch sort of issue. We are so isolated. We're in a very touch deprived society these days, and especially now we're all at our computers. We're all working from home. Ever since the pandemic, it's sort of upped that touch deprivation exponentially. So it's so important to get that nurturing touch. It actually changes chemically. You get the serotonin and the dopamine and the oxytocin from this, and all of those things are so essential to a healthy body. So it's even more needed today, I think, in our little computer stations. We need to get, and even just day-to-day touch. I mean, even just hugging someone or, patting them on the back or putting your arm around someone. These are things that we need in our life as social beings. And that touch is such an important component of that.
Oh, definitely. So now let's talk a little bit about when we go into the massage therapist, what they're actually doing to us. So like, obviously you use different techniques, etc., but overriding, maybe you're experiencing some kind of like tension or you've got some trigger points. So maybe talk about what's actually happening in the body and then what you as a massage therapist are trying to do when you're actually doing your treatment.
Mm-hmm. So that's pretty tricky because every massage therapist is different. There's not a really good standardized definition of massage. Even in the US, each state has its own licensing requirements, whether it be a weekend workshop or 2,000 hours. Luckily in New York, it's the 2,000 hours and lots of continuing education. So it's all very different. And also just what you're trained in. Are you more of an Eastern massage therapist, Western? What sort of massage do you do? Are you more of an energy sort of person? Or are you like me, which, I'm more clinically involved in helping people recover from pain and injury. So that does make it awfully confusing for people to know what to ask for when they go in. When people say, what type of massage should I ask for? Trigger point, deep tissue, sports, I usually say, tell them what you need, right? So if you're going in because you have low back pain, give as much information as that, as possible. Every time I lean down to help my grandkid or something like that, I get this pain right here and it moves down my leg, and describing it. And, how can you help me alleviate that. That's basically it. And if you have a skilled massage therapist, they'll reach into their toolbox and use whatever they need to help you out. And some of those things might be a myofascial release, which are it's sort of holding the tissue or moving the tissue in a certain direction and just holding it there and letting it melt and relax. That's really working with your nervous system mostly. Really, all of it is working with the mind-body connection. It's the muscular and the brain working together to sort of relax things. There might be some stretching for some shortened tissue, so gentle lengthening work. There just might be some relaxation massage. I usually do 90-minute sessions because it takes people a long time to sort of, get into it and calm, but also because I treat people with specific issues. So I like that because we can treat the specific issue, but then we can sort of work the whole body on a more holistic level and just get everything calmed down, get you into that nice parasympathetic nervous system state. So that's the rest and digest that we need to find, because we're always in our sympathetic fight or flight all the time, right? And that's just wear and tear on our bodies, lots of cortisol. Yeah. So that's what I recommend is just going and saying, this is what is bothering me, and can you help me? And if it's a skilled massage therapist, then they should be able to. And if they don't, you'll know after one session and you'll keep looking.
Yeah. So maybe talk a little bit about what happens with muscle tension and trigger points, because I think a lot of people are aware they have a trigger point but don't really know what a trigger point is, and maybe you could explain a little bit about that, and then what you would be doing yourself. Like, as you said, it's probably hard to kind of like generalize because there is such a variety of treatments and therapeutic kind of like practices with massage, but specifically what someone like yourself who works more closely connected to helping people recover from specific, musculoskeletal kind of like issues, what is it you kind of like are looking to do?
Sure. Well, as far as trigger points are concerned, there's a lot of controversy on if they even exist. The idea of a trigger point is that it's a little nodule in a muscle fiber that's contracted and not letting go. And because it's contracted, it's pushing out the blood. And so now it's ischemic, meaning it's lacking blood, it's lacking oxygen, which is just creating this cycle of this little knot in the muscle fiber. We don't really have enough evidence. I mean, there are people that swear that's absolutely where they are. And one of the things is that they refer pain. That's one of the something that categorizes a trigger point. Referring pain, meaning you feel it somewhere else. So if you press this part on your neck, you might feel it refer down your arm or into your wrist. That's the idea. I don't really work trigger points because I'm just not convinced that they actually exist. But what I do is I feel where there's restriction. Yeah. Where is the tissue not moving? Can this person not get their arm up above 90 degrees? Okay, let's work at that edge and see if we can release some of the tissue around the rotator cuff and the head of the humerus, the shoulder, and see if we can't maybe get to 100 degrees, in this session. So there's that, and there's just communication with the person. So they say it's hurting over here, and I'll go here and I say, is this where, when they say, oh yes, that's exactly right. Now we know where, what we're working. And I might hold the area with compression. I might use more of a traditional massage. I might do some passive release, which means, say it's a hip problem, I might rotate the leg a little bit to stretch and slacken the tissue and just get some more information, some more communication between the brain and the muscle. And that could make such a huge difference. If it's postural, a lot of times I'll be stretching and working to, say, derotate, is that a word? The spine, or to get the hips back in alignment. Maybe it needs, one hip needs some traction to go down because they're, uneven. There are so many things cause other things. So if your hips are uneven, it means that your spine's not going to be straight. It's going to, a tree can't grow out of a an uneven ground straight. So now you're probably having back pain and maybe even up to the neck because that's the top of the spine and it's compromising. So there are so many things to work. That's why I think I have the longer sessions, is just so we can address it. Because if we only address the area of pain, we're not getting to the cause.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really interested in. So I basically take everything that I've learned and all of my experience, and I bring it to, literally bring it to the table, the massage table, and see, what is going to help this person the most. And sometimes it's a little trial and error. Trigger point massage, if you get that, it's pretty much holding an area. So that little nodule I spoke about, it's putting deep pressure into that nodule, which is counterintuitive because by doing that, you're pushing the blood away from the area. But the argument for it is that then when you let up, all of the blood comes, fresh blood comes rushing in, and it also neurologically unwinds that nodule. So now it's had this information, it's had this new communication with the brain, it's had this pressure, it has this blood, and hopefully it'll release, and then usually a trigger point therapist will then stretch it. So that's the idea. I find that a lot of these techniques overlap, and people just may call them different things, or may do them slightly differently, but the intention is the same, and hopefully the result works. And if it doesn't, you try a different technique, or but a lot of it is communication with the person on the table. I want to know if this is not feeling good, because if it's not feeling good or it's painful, we have such a no pain no gain mentality, like work through it, I can take it. If my person is in pain on the table, now we've got clenching, we've got muscular tension, so we're not going to be able to release anything. And not only that, we've now got cortisol flowing through the blood because now the stress levels are going up. That's an automatic response to pain. And now we're in that fight or flight. And it's exactly the opposite of what we're going for. Completely. So there's something called good pain, where it might feel intense, but you also feel like, oh, that's a big release, or that area is relaxing and it hasn't in so long. That's the good pain thing. That's good. It could be a little intense, it could be a little like, whoa, but when it just goes into that ouch, that's where you don't want to be. So that's why the communication is so important.
Yeah, no, as you said, it's kind of like counterintuitive, isn't it? Because like you're trying to release tension, and then when you create pain, the natural reaction of the body is to have tension to protect itself. So you're actually paying to not get a result. So it doesn't kind of like work.
Pretty much. And it is teamwork. I encourage people I work with to be active participants. And a huge part of that is giving them self-massage to do at home, because, you can, even if you go on a weekly basis, I see people weekly, but I have them 90 minutes out of the week. So if someone's rounding over their computer 5 days a week and then overdoing it at the gym for 2 days during the weekend, and they continue doing that, we're not going to get anywhere. They're going to have like a nice, they're going to feel some relief after the session, and they go right back into their lives and texting like this, right? So I give homework to take with them, like a postural, can you move your monitor up a little bit, or when you're walking, try to put the weight evenly on both feet, or little things like that. And in addition to my self-massage videos, or I also have corrective exercises and stretches and things like that. And I found that making the videos is so helpful, because I'll show somebody what to do before I had the videos, and they come back and they were like, what was that thing you showed? I got home and I didn't remember. Well, now there's no excuse. They have it on their screen in front of them. So I have to hold them to it.
Well, that's something we forgot to mention, that Rachel actually has a very successful YouTube channel where she has basically all the self-massage tips and techniques, and a range of other kind of self-care kind of methodologies. So, and it's it's up to close to 67,000 now. So obviously a lot of people are liking the ability to be able to practice self-massage at home. So, well, I guess that's a good point, a good time now for us to talk about self-massage, and which parts of our body we can actually apply self-massage, which conditions or pain things that we're kind of like experiencing that we can use self-massage for?
Self-massage can be pretty much used for almost anything. You don't want to massage over an area of inflammation. If something is like really acute, obviously, if the skin is broken, you're not massaging over that area, or if you've had a recent surgery. But what you can do is massage gently in the surrounding musculature to help all of that relax until you can, start working on a more acute area. But other than that, it's very easy to self-massage many, many parts of the body, your own shoulders, your face, your head, your pectorals that always get so, tight when we round over. I actually just did a video, it's not published yet, but soon, on the low back and teach you how to massage your own back, which is, not super easy, but I make it very accessible. And then there are other ways to do it too. Like I have a part of the video where you're lying on the floor on your back and sort of rocking. So now we're using the floor pressure against, the bottom of our spine and our sacrum. And I've started incorporating the use of a massage ball, like a could be a little lacrosse ball or a tennis ball. You lean up against it on the wall, and now you can massage your back. But most of my videos so far are no equipment, and you just use your hands. And I've done it for general things like neck pain and headaches and tight jaws. But then I have things more specifically like thoracic outlet syndrome or frozen shoulder or sciatica or any of those very common what am I looking for? Diagnoses. Yeah. That's the word. It's really early for me. I'm so sorry. Any of those common diagnoses. So I have several videos for those as well. Yeah. And then just for general tightness and for anxiety, that's huge because anxiety and pain go hand in hand. Pain is going to cause anxiety, and anxiety is going to cause more pain. You're going to clench down more on those nerves, those nociceptors that shoot all those nerve pains into the brain. And then it's just this pain cycle. So interrupting that, interfering with that cycle and getting everything sort of down and calm is going to create this really nice, this disruption in that pattern that the brain has over and over again.
Yeah, that mind-body connection is very important. So I guess like massage has kind of like two roles. One is that relaxation that you mentioned, getting yourself down to a parasympathetic kind of like state, as well as helping relieve tension in the areas that are experiencing some kind of like tension. So like more of a physical kind of like release, which also goes back to the mind. And then I guess it builds that positive kind of like feedback cycle.
Yeah, you really can't separate the two. Yeah. So, and those are the two things that research so far has found massage is so excellent for, is pain and anxiety.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe now you could show us a few of the techniques, because there are different ways to kind of like massage yourself. So perhaps you could demonstrate a few and explain how they're different and how they kind of like work.
Sure. So we can start with the ears, because I have an ear massage video that just went live this morning. And also just because you wouldn't think it, but massaging your ears is so profoundly relaxing. Yeah. And it can actually be energizing at the same time. There's just a lot of receptors, a lot of, nerve endings that just go through to the whole body. So I like to take what I call V fingers. And if that's too complicated, you can do like that, either one. And you just put your ear right in the middle, the fingers on either side. And then you press and rub up and down. And that's just so relaxing. And the thing with self-massage is you find the pressure that works for you. If it feels good, you're doing it right. You don't have to, a lot of people get, wait, am I in the right place? It's like, does it feel good? Don't worry about the anatomy. If it feels good and it's relieving tension, you're doing it right. So just pressing up and down already is just so relaxing. Taking a deep breath, remembering to breathe. We forget to do that efficiently very often. So ideally in through the nose and out through the nose. Filling the belly and making the exhales long to get all the air out. We can then go ahead and take our ears, and I just use like a little circular motion in my fingers here, and just start working all around the ear, just like that, just doing circles. You can do a little tug as you do it, and just working all around, and you'll probably feel like already my head just released from that, and actually my quadricep muscles relax. And this is good to notice. This is that mind-body connection. So you start noticing, oh, when I do this, I feel this here, and you make some discoveries, and now now you're having a conversation with your body. You're back in touch, and wonderful things can come out of that. So when your earlobes are great, and pulling. And then we can just do pulling of the whole thing. So go ahead and take the top of the ear and just pull upwards, and just let that relax the face and the head. What's neat is that these fascial connections go so deep. So the ears have a fascial connection right in towards the dura mater of the spine, which is the outermost meninge, the outermost layer of the spine. So it's neat to think about, wow, if I pull on my ears, I'm pretty much, affecting my spinal column, which is pretty wild. And then pulling down on the earlobes. Another thing that I find people have so much tension in the jaw, that TMJ. So you can come right in front of the ear and do some nice little circles there, nice and gentle. It's right on the joint. So you just want to go easy and sort of let your jaw drop. You don't want your top and bottom teeth to be touching. A nice relaxed position for the jaw is separated top and bottom teeth, the tip of the tongue right behind the top two teeth, just resting very, very gently. And I know you wouldn't think that, but that is a position that will just help the jaw relax completely. And go ahead under the cheekbones. So feel your cheekbones. And you get your fingers right up there underneath. And this looks pretty silly, but nobody's watching you, only me. So there, I'm going to be silly. So you can go ahead and put your flat hand and just bring all of that tissue down, letting that jaw drop. And this is a myofascial release, which just means you're holding it and letting the tissue take you. You're letting yourself relax, and you're waiting. It takes lots of patience. You're just waiting. It's gravity. That's just allowing your hands to go down. You're not pulling or forcing, just letting it go. And just feeling the release as it moves all the way down. And just give yourself a little massage there. Make sure that big jaw muscle, this is masseter, it's a huge jaw muscle. Make sure that's nice and relaxed. And I'll show you one more. There's a nice, I do a lot of active release, which means that you actually do movements while you're massaging. So everybody's favorite place, these upper trapezius muscles, right? This top of the shoulder, you can just take a pinch finger like this. If you have a lot of tissue there, you could take a whole fist. What I like to do is bring the shoulder up so you can get a good grip, and then hold that grip while you relax the shoulder down. It might get a little intense, so go easy. And then just massage, doing some circles. I'm just going like this, right? And you can massage all along. So, shoulder to neck, all along that tissue there that gets so tight and so cranky. And when you find a good spot, meaning it's a little tender, or it just feels really good right there, you can just hold that. Just hold that pressure, the pressure that's good for you, not too deep, not too light. And then you just start to bring your opposite ear towards your opposite shoulder. And now you're stretching the tissue. If that's too intense, come right back up and don't move the head. You can just massage. And then slowly, slowly bringing it back up, and you're slackening the tissue. And then you can go ahead and breathe while you do this. Super, super important. Nice deep breaths. Hold that length. Think about it lengthening. And the trick also is to keep that working arm relaxed so that shoulder's not coming up like that. So there's the caveat of self-massage, is keeping the other parts relaxed, especially the working hand, while you're working on one part. But in my videos, I remind you of that quite regularly, so I don't let you tense up. And then you can come on to the other side because we don't want to be uneven. It was actually funny in massage school, oh God, 13 years ago or so. We would work on one arm, on our partner, or one leg, and then, oh, we're out of time. Yeah. we're all limping home. So you can go ahead and make those little circles. Again, to get a good grip on it, you can bring the shoulder up and hold it and then relax it down, keeping that grip, doing some circles, finding some yummy points or some tender points, putting a nice pressure so that it feels like a good release, and then slowly, if you want to, using your active movement, your opposite ear towards your opposite shoulder. And slowly coming up. You can stay there or you can move to a different point. And you always want to move super slowly. If you stretch too quickly, muscles don't like to be surprised, and that's a good way to get a spasm or a micro tear or something like that. Always moving super slow, being very patient with yourself, and just listening to your body. You just roll your shoulders, make sure they're both nice and relaxed. And taking one more deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose, filling up the belly. I like to sigh it out a lot too. Just that the voice gives nice soothing vibrations and is actually quite helpful. I do that a lot in my belly massage videos, anything for digestion. Yeah. So awesome. Those are a few.
No, brilliant. So just to help people understand, because I actually, as I mentioned, watched one of your videos because I had a specific issue with my elbow. And then it was interesting because there were like 3 or 4 different ways you did massage. So you talked about using your finger, going a little bit deeper. Then you had the myofascial kind of like component. Then you were talking also about using the ball of your kind of like hand. So just to kind of like give people some kind of like different, just to show them not the actual specific area, but so they can apply it in different parts of their body, because you, like, even with there, you kind of like did a deeper tissue, then you did the lengthening, then you did a bit of a myofascial, right. Just so people kind of understand the different components of what they can do. Because I think when they want to do the specific massage for a particular body part, they can watch your video, but I think this will help them understand what's actually happening and what you're trying to achieve with each of the different ways you're doing it.
Yeah. So when I give all those different tools, you may love all of them and want to use all of them for different ways to release that area, or you may choose the 1 or 2 that, work best for you. So with different tools, like if I use my fingers, that's going to be a more intense, sharper local point, as opposed to if I were to use my palm, and now you have a very sort of diffused kind of pressure. That's a lot more soothing and not working as specifically. So it depends. I think with yours, you did the golfer's elbow. So we used fingers to do some friction moving around that very specific tendon. But then when we wanted to work all the flexors, I think I did it a couple times. So first we did a really broad pressure, either using like this or the back of the hand, right? Just as an example. And that's just going to be less deep, but cover more area. And that's really good at just starting to relax it. It's nice to go from superficial to deep. Superficial just meaning a little more towards the surface of the skin, surface of the body. And then you can start, as the tissue warms up, to use maybe a little bit more knuckles. And then if we're doing a specific muscle on the forearm instead of the whole, we would probably use fingers, right? And then you would lean in a little deeper until you feel that muscle or you feel it release. And of course, if you feel pain, you come out a little bit. And so that's what you're trying to contact, and what you're trying to achieve with that. So if you want to lengthen, we would hold that specific point and then we'd give a nice stretch, right? I like that active movement because it really gets the brain involved with it. You get that neuromuscular connection. So so that's why that's the, the different tools we use. Sometimes we actually use another forearm and you can, massage with that, and you could get quite firm pressure with that because you could lean your whole body into it. So that just feels really, really good. And basically, if it feels good, do that. If you find a couple of techniques or ways of doing things that you like, a lot of people have trouble finding the time for self-care. Like, oh, I would love to, but, right? It doesn't have to be. You don't have to think about it as being like, I need to take a half hour a day to do self-care, or I need to do this entire massage routine every time. You can take a couple of the techniques that are just like, oh, this just helps release my neck, and do them literally 30 seconds to a minute throughout the day. Everyone has a moment, right, in between meetings or kids or whatever, even, oh my God, even when you go to the bathroom, like you can just do, a little something to help yourself. Stick that in a few times during the day, and just that little bit can make such a big difference, such a huge difference. You're just reconnecting for a moment there. Yeah.
No, brilliant. So talk a little bit about the myofascial, because we've mentioned this a couple of times, and then I guess a lot of people, this is kind of like a relatively new term. We have one speaker who talks specifically about this, but I think it's just worthwhile to kind of like reiterate what myofascial is and then what you're trying to do with a massage with regard to myofascial.
Sure. Yeah, myofascial has become a very popular term. Myo meaning muscle, fascial meaning fascia, which is connective tissue, basically all the connective tissue throughout the whole body that brings, holds everything together and wraps around every organ. If you just took the fascial system, you would have a shape of a human body. It holds everything up. So myofascial release, when I was in school, back in the olden days when I was in school, it was thought to melt the tissue. Like the tissue was seen as plastic, like if you think of plastic wrap, and it's tight. And so when you do myofascial release, it begins to stretch and elongate the tissue. And if you stretch plastic wrap, it then has a new length. It's not going to go back to its original length. That was the idea, was to stretch out that fascia surrounding the muscles, relax the muscles there. And now you would have this new length and this new mobility. That was a myth. So now they're finding, but it worked. There are so many things that it's like, okay, well, that's not how it works, but it works. So how is it working, right? So it doesn't, for the outcome, it doesn't really matter, I guess, how you think of it if you apply it and it works. But now it's seen much more as a neurological effect. So the things that are happening in the nervous system as you apply that pressure, as you give that feedback, and then the nerves that innervate the fascia and the muscles. There actually are a lot of nerves that go through the fascia. They didn't know this way back. It'll, start to calm. It'll start to get that parasympathetic going and relax the muscles as you move along. Yeah. And it also just overrides pain signals. Just putting pressure on an area is now giving the brain something else, a new communication. It's just like when you bump your knee, your instinct is to rub your knee. And that's just to muddy the pain signal. So you get something else to the brain faster and you notice that it dulls the pain. So it's getting that different information that'll break that pain cycle. And then you'll be able to relax, because if you're in pain, you can't really relax. So that's another part of myofascial release that I like and that I think about while I'm doing it.
Okay, awesome. So what are the tips or recommendations for doing self-massage? So one of the things to remember is to breathe. Like in everything, remember to breathe, because a lot of people don't. But what other ones similar to that, to make sure people get the optimal benefit out of applying self-massage?
Sure. You want to make sure that you have as good alignment as possible when we're doing it, because if we're working postural muscles, but you're sitting like this, we're not going to get very far. So, and I do this in the videos a lot too. I remind you to sit, evenly on both, or stand evenly on both hips, and the spine is tall, and you've got your neck right on top of your shoulder girdle, and it's not going forward or down. And then we take deep breaths just in that position to feel how much more we can breathe when you're, open and aligned and sitting upright. So that's just a huge start right there. And once you're able to get that breath in, that oxygen and nutrients to the areas of the body that have been deprived, already you start to come into that parasympathetic. And now we have a good place to begin massaging. And like I said, the thing with self-massage is there's just no wrong or right. There's, you explore with it. I give you techniques. You can be creative. You can be like, well, I like doing this better because that feels better. You don't, like I said, you don't have to worry that you're on, I'm not exactly on the subscapularis right now. It's just giving you the ideas, the pointers, the anatomy, just so you can find things for yourself. You can find where things are feeling good, where things are hurting, and know how to work it. And I think also it's just that guidance. If you do it with the video, you have someone, like a friendly face and a friendly voice guiding you through it and breathing with you. And so there's another element of it. It's that human connection, right? So now we've got the emotional and the physical and the mental, and it's all going together. So it's finding what feels good. It's finding what works for you. That's pretty much all it is.
Good. So are there some caveats like don't go too deep, avoid pain? So what other ones would you, just kind of so people don't go crazy?
Right. Yeah, it's easy to, I know a lot of people will, get foam rollers and then just try to destroy the IT band or something like that. There's no reason to cause yourself pain. Same thing like what I was saying when I give massage, I look out for pain cues, because that means it's too much. You have to back up. Your body's not going to be able to relax if you're in pain. You're not going to be able to really receive the information that you're giving yourself to stay calm, to breathe. Your even breathing is difficult if you're causing yourself pain. It's not going to help. So backing off, going easy, maybe moving a centimeter to the right or a centimeter to the left, so you're not exactly on the point that's super tender right now, but you'll get there eventually. It's like exercise, you're lifting a certain amount of weight, and then one day you can add half a pound or a pound, and it's a process. It's the same thing with self-massage. You're going to discover things about your body, and you're going to change and adapt as you go, and you'll be able to get deeper in some areas, and you'll able to move more in other areas as you go along. You'll see your progress.
And is there how much time you should be actually massaging yourself, to get a good result, or whatever works?
No, but I mean, it depends on the area. Like if I'm just doing an ear massage, we're not going to be spending more than say 10 minutes, but if I'm doing runner's knee, we've got the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the abductors, the adductors all around the, so it depends on how much. But it's also, like I said, what you have time for. It's better to do 1 minute of something than nothing at all.
Yeah.
So, if you just need to pinpoint that one exercise that helps that muscle relax, then that's what you do. If you have more time, that's that's even better. So you can take some time with it. A lot of people ask me the frequency. If it's not something that's super acute, you can do stuff every day if you want, but again, listen to your body, make sure it's okay. And it's not, it's not irritating it. It's helping, not irritating. If it's irritating, then back off. But usually you can do this kind of thing every day if you want to. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So, well, that's been pretty awesome. So what other lifestyle habits do you recommend people adopt to help them optimize their health and well-being?
Sure. Sleep is a big one. We often do not get enough sleep. Sleep, when you're in deep sleep, that's pretty much the only time that really, really profound tissue healing is taking place. That, and I think when you're exercising and in like a high cardio. But deep sleep, deep restorative rest, that's when things have the ability to heal. And if it's going on and on and on and not healing, and you're getting 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep a night, that's probably a really big reason. So you really want to get that 7 to 9 hours. A good way to do that is to have the same bedtime every night. You're training your body to go to sleep and wake up at the same time. You want to turn off all screens, all noises, at least 30 minutes, preferably an hour before bed, and just unwind, do something to relax yourself, have some, chamomile tea, or take a bath or a shower, or listen to relaxing music, or read for fun, something like that, just to close the day and to bring yourself into a good restorative sleep. Of course, diet, you want to make sure you're getting all the nutrients that you need. Whole grains, fruits, veggies, there's no like one diet for everyone. Obviously, you find out what what feels good and what doesn't as you eat things, but you want to be properly nourished. You want to make sure you're getting enough protein and everything's balanced. Taking that little bit of time for yourself every day is, I can't even stress it enough, is so super important. You need to do that in order to show up for everything else. If you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your kids or your elderly parents, or you can't successfully help your coworkers or whatever in life. You just can't do things with ease. You can't show up fully. You can't do things to their full potential if you're not taking care of yourself, right? Exercise, getting movement, super, super important, especially if we've got computer jobs and we're sitting at our desks all day. Getting up for a walk. There's so many different ways. A lot of people say, I don't like exercise, but you find something you do like. Turn on your favorite song and start dancing, that's perfectly fine. There are now so many trainers and videos online. You can find things that, like any kind of exercise, Pilates, yoga, HIIT workout, whatever. That's what I do. It saves me commute time. I have my favorite trainers online, and I just roll out my mat and I do it here. With minimum equipment. I've got some weights and, some ankle weights, and some straps, the stretchy bands, and you get your movement in. If you can get outside, that's even better, because getting out in nature, getting out in fresh air is also largely alleviating, a real, just getting back in touch, and having that long distance vision for a moment. We don't have very much of that in New York. Even if you go outside, it's like buildings are right there. So we're losing our we all need glasses for that. So getting outside, even if it's just for a walk around the block, is super important. Staying hydrated, something else people forget a lot. I always have like a bottle of water next to me. If you, if you just keep it next to you, it'll be more likely to remember to do it.
Awesome. So last 3 questions. These are questions I'm asking each of our presenters and speakers. So question number 1, what's your definition of ageless living?
Staying active. That's what I find in the clients that I see. The ones that are active, who are, and I don't just mean active exercise wise, I mean following some sort of passion, doing something that they love, even, after you're retired, do that other thing that you always wanted to do, right? I don't really believe in retirement. To me, it's sort of like a career shift to like, this is what I've always wanted to try. You get another, another lifetime to do something else, do something new. So having that passion, having that interest in life, and staying active, in addition to physically moving, because our bodies start to slow down if we don't keep them going. It's the law of inertia, right? Bodies in motion stay in motion. That's what I would say. Enjoy what you're doing, have passion, and keep active. And those are the people that I see who are the young like I see people out of the same age, and some of them are super young at that age, and some of them are not so young at that age.
Yeah.
That's what I find is a big difference between.
No, definitely. So your definition of wellness?
Definition of wellness. That's real. That's vague. So I would say, okay, so I would say having the right balance of each factor of life. So having the right amount of, for you, because it's not the same for everybody. So nutrition and social life and work life and family, right? And other things that we've spoken about, like exercise and self-care and hydration and being outside and break time, vacation time, all of those different factors in our lives in a nice balance, so that there's not too much of one and too little of another. I'd say getting a nice balance. And that's it. I don't think you ever are completely balanced. I think it's like a lifelong journey. But if you're working on it and it's as as good as you can get it, then I think that usually equals wellness.
No, definitely. And last question: the secret to longevity.
Well, similar to the staying active and having that passion. Self-care, huge. I think some people say, like, the older we get, the more we have to take care of ourselves. But I think that I very much believe in preventative, so that, then the older you get, you keep doing what you're doing, because you are already taking care of yourself. So chances are your risk factor for things popping up as you get older is lower, So I think preventative self-care and having that wellness balance, right? And enjoying life. I mean, that's like a huge thing. It's just, I think we just get so stressed out. And even about stuff like this, like, oh, when am I going to get in my self-care? But that's to, the self-care is to relax you. It's not, it shouldn't be stressing you out. I think just enjoying what you're doing, which is part of the reason why I think, massage and exercise are so important, because so many things that you do require your body to be functional. You can't paint if you've got carpal tunnel syndrome. You can't run if you've got runner's knee. You can't enjoy your grandkids if you can't get down on the floor and up from the floor on your own, really, So taking care of your body so that you can enjoy things for as long as possible and do what you love doing. I think that's key.
No, very, very much so. So, Rachel, it's been wonderful talking to you. I've certainly enjoyed the conversation. And I'm sure a lot of people got a lot of value out of this and have a newer perspective on why they actually need to invest in the time, not necessarily the money, to do some kind of like massage or practice something in the line of self-care. So for anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about you, how can they find you online?
Sure. My website is rachel-richards.com. You can find my YouTube channel. It's got well over 100 now. And that's just Rachel Richards Massage. If you search Rachel Richards Massage, you'll find my YouTube channel. I'm on some social media, but I'm not super active. But Rachel Richards Massage, you can find me Facebook, Twitter. But really, I'm mostly YouTube, and feel free to email me, and that's rachelrichardsmassage@gmail.com. That's the best way to reach out to me, because I'm not on social media much. Although I do look at my YouTube comments. That I do, and I always respond to YouTube comments.
Awesome. So once again, thank you so much for taking part in the Wellness After 40 Summit.
Thank you so much. It was really nice talking to you. Thanks.